according to Variety, Kathleen Kennedy has been going out to the Oscar board requesting them to do an honorable award for her boss, Bob Iger. Now, whether Bob Iger actually deserves the reward or not, I highly doubt that. I don't know of any actual film he's taken part of that has really benefit from his interactions. Sure, he might claim that, oh, I put some notes in for some Star Wars films, I helped him go in the right direction, but let's be honest here. Bob Iger, he's not a creative guy. If anything, he is a showboater. He's able to manipulate investors. If you have not seen a Valiant Renegade stream covering the investor calls for Disney and Warner Bros., you have to go check those out, because Bob, he's able to just dance around these questions. He's able to get his point across without actually answering any hard answered questions at those events. So that actually is probably what Bob should get an award for, is just being able to dance around questions and perfectly manipulate them into getting more investment for Disney, even though they don't deserve it. And let's just go into this article here. This article, no one even really knows why Kathleen Kennedy is doing this, not even Bob Iger. And although the Academy seems to be okay with giving Bob Iger an award, there's some people that aren't necessarily okay with the optics of it, because you have to remember, ABC Entertainment are the ones who broadcast the Oscars. And who owns ABC? Walt Disney. So it would be like giving an award to Bob Iger for him broadcasting their service. And it doesn't help matters that right about now is when they're renegotiating those broadcast rights, according to this article. So what exactly do you want it to be known here if you do give Bob Iger an Oscar this year? I personally think that this is Kathleen Kennedy trying to make sure she has a golden parachute when she leaves. Now, she's still going to have a fantastic parachute when she leaves, but I think she's just trying to sweeten the deal to get in Bob's good graces, because she killed Indiana Jones. She's killed Star Wars. As far as I know, she hasn't done anything that's really been a success. Like, you may point to, whoa, what about Force Awakens? That was because of George Lucas and people wanting to go back into the Star Wars universe. But that film was horrible. That film is just a carbon copy of A New Hope. Like, yes, people like it, people enjoy it, but when I got done with that film, I was pulling my hair out. I was probably the only 10 people at that time who recognized that this new Star Wars was going to be trash. And it just went to show with The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker that Kathleen Kennedy has no idea what she's doing in filmmaking. And you don't believe me? Take a look at their slate of TV shows they just released. The Acolyte. The Acolyte is probably one of the worst Star Wars shows I've ever seen. Now, I haven't seen Obi-Wan Kenobi. I heard that one was pretty bad. But The Acolyte, the DEI, the BS, the twisting and changing of the Force itself into something called the Threads. Like, what in the world are we going on here? And why is Kathleen Kennedy even able to do this? Well, this Variety article has a wonderful explanation of why she can do this. In Star Wars, the Force is a mystical energy field that can be harnessed into supernatural powers by a chosen few. In Hollywood, it's called leverage. And I think that's perfectly sums up why Kathleen Kennedy is even having the possibility of even talking with these Oscar people, because she has been in the Hollywood system so long. She's pretty much Hollywood royalty. She has her names on projects like Indiana Jones and Star Wars. Her husband is one of the greatest filmmakers of all time, so she has a little bit of leeway in that regard. But I personally think it's starting to fade as time goes on, as people recognize that Kathleen Kennedy really has nothing to offer. Now, according to this article, after she leaves Star Wars, she's going to go back into a production role, which who in the world would want you to be leading a production team for a film? It better be less than $10 million, because you give her $100 million budget for a film, she's going to run that sucker into the ground. So I don't honestly understand why the fascination for Kathleen Kennedy still exists, but it's still out there. Now, as for Bob Iger, what potentials could these awards be for? Well, is it for buying a whole bunch of properties like Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars, Fox? Maybe, but he's pretty much ran all those into the ground or just completely ignored them. Pixar, it's kind of floundering. Some of the films do okay. Quite a few of the films, not so much. Marvel, the last couple of films have just been god-awful. The TV shows haven't really connected to the story well. No one really cares about them. Star Wars, you haven't made a movie in that universe since 2019, which, hey, I'm okay with. Let Star Wars rest. But you won't let it rest. You've been making show after show after show. That's just been a disaster. So I don't see Bob Iger getting any award for that. I mean, if you want to say award for buying stuff, then you should give Elon Musk an award for buying Twitter for a lot of money. So I'm just saying right here, like, it doesn't make much sense for just giving an award for that. Also, he bought Hulu, which was kind of a mistake, but he didn't have much of a choice in that regard, so we won't dive down that rabbit hole too much. Maybe you want to go and give him an award for adding more cruise ships to Disney. After all, those are a financial success, which is great, but knowing Disney, they're probably going to eventually mess up as well. Well, what about the parks? Well, the parks, sure, you can give him an award for renovating, but I mean, I've renovated apartments. I know people who renovate buildings and convert them into other structural things like apartment buildings from hotels, so I don't really understand why you would give him an award for hotels. Also, they are losing out in the park business to Universal, who just opened up their new parks, which look amazing. And yet, Disney hasn't done anything to compete with that. So, where exactly is the win here? Bob Iger, he had the perfect exit time. It was back in 2020. Bob Chapek was coming in. He was taking over. COVID was just showing up. He was the co-CEO. He was in the gradual taking over the company. Bob Iger could have just stepped away, had his legacy intact. He just would come off of the most watched film in history, the Endgame for the Marvel Universe. Okay, maybe it wasn't the most watched, but there's a lot of people who watched it. It's one of the billion-dollar films that are out there. It was a great film, though I personally have some issues throughout the film, but you cannot say it did not end his career on a high note to leave on that. And yet, he still came back. And the reason why he came back is because of the whole DEI initiative that he's been putting in place since probably the mid-2000s all the way up till now, which then caused Bob Chapek to be kicked out so that Bob Iger could come back in and become the king of Disney once more. So maybe we can give him an award for being the greatest betrayer of all time. I guess that's something we could do. Or do we give him an award for being the champion of DEI in the entertainment industry that's completely ruining everything that we love about Walt Disney and entertainment as we know it? There's a lot of horrible rewards we can give Bob Iger, but he probably won't accept any of them. I mean, in all honesty, I don't really see Bob Iger ever receiving an award for anything, even though he likes to claim himself as the executive of creatives. He doesn't really have anything that really towards his name that really says that he's a creative genius. He buys things. He's a weatherman. He can smooze the investors, but that's about it. But that's my thoughts about this whole thing about Kathleen Kennedy trying to get Bob Iger an Oscar. What do you guys think? Do you think there's a chance that Bob Iger could get an Oscar? And what do you think it for? What disaster do you think that he would receive an Oscar for? I can't wait to hear what your comments are down below. Leave a like if you like the video. Subscribe as well. And I look forward to seeing you on the next one. You take care now. Bye.